Good morning, students. In today's lecture, we will discuss about some important theorems related to nil and nilpotent ideals. Our first theorem today is, let R be a Noetherian ring having no non-zero nilpotent ideals. We are to prove that R has no non-zero nil ideals. Means if a Noetherian ring has no non-zero nilpotent ideals, then it does not have any non-zero nil ideals. To prove this theorem, we will use contradiction. Let, if possible, this ring R has non-zero nil ideal. So we have taken the ideal I, which is non-zero nil ideal in the ring R. So let us take a non-zero element A belonging to this ideal I, and we define the left annihilator of this element A. Annihilators we have already discussed in the previous section. By definition, left annihilator of element A, this is the set of all those elements X belonging to the ring R which annihilates A, means X into A is equal to 0. All elements of such kind which satisfies this condition, those X belongs to the left annihilator of A. And left annihilator of A, that is left ideal of the ring R. We have already discussed it in the previous section. Now here, let us take S is the collection of all such left annihilators of elements A, which are non-zero elements belonging to I. Then this S is non-empty set of left ideals of the ring R, because annihilators of elements of the ring R, these are the left ideals of R. So here left annihilators of A, those are left ideals of the ring R. Now because S is non-empty family of left ideals of the ring R, and ring R is given to be Noetherian. So by definition of Noetherian ring, every non-empty family of left ideals of Noetherian ring has a maximal element. So we can say that this family S will have a maximal element. So let us take LA, means left annihilator of element A. This is the maximal element of S. By definition of S, this is non-zero element of I. Now let us take an element X belonging to the ring R. Now because A belongs to I and I is ideal of ring R, so A into X, that will again belong to the ideal I by definition of ideal. Now there are two possibilities. Either this element will be 0 or this element will be non-zero. If the element AX, that is 0, in that case A into X into A, that will be 0 because AX is 0. And if the element AX, that is non-zero, then in that case, because the element AX belongs to I and I is nil ideal means every element of I is nilpotent. So we can say the element AX being the element of I will be nilpotent. By definition of nilpotent element, there will exist a positive integer k such that AX whole raised to the power k will be 0. Now we can write AX whole raised to the power k by splitting into two parts. One part is AX, one part is AX whole raised to the power k minus 1. Now in this case we have assumed AX to be non-zero. So we may choose k to be least positive integer such that AX raised to the power k minus 1 is non-zero. Now for from here we can say that because ax multiplied with k minus 1 power of ax, that gives us 0. So by definition of left annihilator of an element, we can say that the element ax belongs to the left annihilator of the element ax raised to the power k minus 1. Now the element ax belongs to I, we had taken, and so I is an ideal, therefore ax raised to the power k minus 1 will also belong to I, and therefore we can say that the element which is left annihilator of this element, that will belong to S, because S is the set of all the left annihilators of those elements which are non-zero elements of I. This is element of I, and also this element we have taken as non-zero, so that will be the element of S. Now we claim that the annihilator of the element ax raised to the power k minus 1 is same as the left annihilator of A. So let us take an element y belonging to left annihilator of element A. So by definition of left annihilator of A, y into A, that will be 0. Now we are to prove that this y belongs to left annihilator of ax raised to the power k minus 1. So we have to show that y into this element will be 0. So let us consider this expression y into ax raised to the power k minus 1. Now let us split into two parts. One part ax and second part ax raised to the power k minus 2. Now from here, because y into a is 0, so this expression will become 0. So we have proved y into ax raised to the power k minus 1 is 0. So we can say that y belongs to the left annihilator of ax raised to the power k minus 1. Y was an arbitrary element taken from left annihilator of A. Now that is belonging to the left annihilator of ax raised to the power k minus 1. So we can say that left annihilator of A is contained in the left annihilator of element ax raised to the power k minus 1. Now we had already taken left annihilator of A is the maximal element of S. So being maximal, if that is contained in another element, the two elements must be equal. So we can say that left annihilator of A is same as the left annihilator of the element ax raised to the power k minus 1. Now, because the element ax belongs to left annihilator of ax raised to the power k minus 1 and both are same, so ax will belong to left annihilator of A. Now by definition of left annihilator of A into x into A is equal to 0. So we have proved that AXA is equal to 0 in both cases, whether AX is 0 or whether AX is non-zero. So we can combine the two. So we can say that the expression A into X into A is 0 for every X belonging to the ring R. So we can say that A R A is equal to 0. Now let us consider B defined by RAR. Then it is also an ideal of ring R. Let us find B square. B square means B into B, means RAR into RAR. Now R into R, that is R square, which is again as R. So this will become R into ARA into R. Now ARA, that is already 0. So we get B square is equal to 0. So by definition, we can say that B is nilpotent ideal of the ring R. But we are given that R has no non-zero nilpotent ideals. So we can say that B must be 0. So we have obtained B is equal to 0. Now B is equal to 0 means R into A into R is equal to 0. Now either the ring R has unity element or it may not have unity. So if the ring R has unity element, in that case from here, because 1 belongs to R, so 1 into A into 1 means unity of ring R. So we will get A is equal to 0, which will be a contradiction because we had taken A to be non-zero. So this contradiction will prove that our assumption is wrong. So in this case, we have proved the theorem that ring R has no non-zero nil ideals. In the other case, if the ring does not have unity, in that case, let us take a left ideal of R defined by RA plus AR plus RAR. Then from here, because RAR is 0, so A becomes RA plus AR. Now let us find A square. A square means A into A, means RA plus AR multiplied with itself. Now you can multiply these two expressions and you can see that A square, that will be 0. So by definition, we can say that A is nilpotent ideal of the ring R. But we are given in the statement of the theorem that R has no non-zero nilpotent ideals. So if the ring R has any nilpotent ideal, that must be 0. So A is 0 ideal. Now let us take J is an ideal generated by A. Means J is of the form RA plus AR plus ZA plus RAR. Z is the ring of integers here. Now we have from here J is equal to, because this expression we have defined to be A. So J becomes A plus ZA. A is 0 ideal. So we get J is equal to ZA. Now because A belongs to I and I is nil ideal. So by definition of nil ideal, every element of I is nilpotent. So A being the element of I, that will be nilpotent element. So by definition of nilpotent element, they will exist a positive integer, say m, such that A raised to the power m will be 0. Now because J is equal to Z into A, so J raised to the power m, that will be Z into A raised to the power m. A raised to the power m is 0, so we get J raised to the power m is equal to 0. So by definition, J is nilpotent. But again, by using the given hypothesis, R has no non-zero nilpotent ideals. So J must be 0 ideal. Now because J is 0 ideal, so A belongs to J implies that A must be 0. We again get a contradiction because A was non-zero element. So this contradiction proves that our assumption is wrong. So this proves R has no non-zero nil ideals. So this completes the proof of this theorem. Now the next theorem in which we will use the theorem that we proved. So the theorem is, let I is nil ideal in a Noetherian ring R. Then we have to prove that I is nilpotent. Means Noetherian ring में हर एक nil ideal nilpotent होता है. ये हमें प्रूव करना है इसमें. So in order to prove this, let us take a collection of all the nilpotent ideals of the ring R. This collection we have denoted as S. Now, because 0 ideal, that is a nilpotent ideal of the ring R, so this ideal belongs to this collection. So we can say that S is non-empty family of ideals of the ring R. And we are given ring R is Noetherian. So every non-empty family of ideals of the ring R will have a maximal element. So let us take the maximal element of S is J. Now, by definition of the family S, J is nilpotent ideal of the ring R. Let us take A is another nilpotent ideal of the ring R. Sum of nilpotent ideals is again nilpotent. So we can say that A plus J is nilpotent. Also, J is contained in A plus J, and J is maximal element of S. So by definition of maximal element, if J is contained in A plus J, then they must be same. So we can say J is same as A plus J. So from here we can say that A is contained in J. Now let us consider the ideal I plus J of the ring R. J is ideal of ring R. So we can consider the factoring R by J. Factoring of Noetherian is Noetherian. R is Noetherian. So R by J, that is also a Noetherian ring. Now we claim that this quotient ring R by J has no non-zero nilpotent ideals. So let us take an ideal B by J, which is nilpotent ideal of the quotient ring R by J. Now J is nilpotent and B by J is also nilpotent. So B will also be nilpotent ideal of the ring R. And the collection of all the nilpotent ideals of R we have denoted by S. So we can say that B belongs to S. And J is the maximal element of S. So by definition of maximal element, we can say that B will be contained in J. Now B is contained in J and J is contained in B. So we can say that J is equal to B. Therefore, the nilpotent ideal of R by J, that we had taken B by J, that will become J. So we have proved that R by J has no non-zero nilpotent ideals. Now the ring R by J is Noetherian. So the previous theorem, if we apply here, according to that theorem, if a ring is Noetherian and has no non-zero nilpotent ideals, then it will have no non-zero nil ideals. So using that theorem here, we can say that this quotient ring R by J has no non-zero nil ideals. It means if this quotient ring has any nil ideal, then that will be zero ideal. Zero ideal means J. Now let us consider the ideal I plus J by J of this quotient ring R by J. Now by the theorems of isomorphisms of rings, we can say that the ideal I plus J by J will be isomorphic to the ideal I by I intersection J. Now because I is nil ideal, and therefore by the theorems which we discussed earlier, we can say that I by I intersection J, that is also nil ideal. This is nil. This ideal being isomorphic to this ideal will also be nil. So we can say that I plus J by J is nil ideal of the quotient ring R by J. We already proved that R by J has no non-zero nil ideals. So this ideal must be zero ideal. So I plus J upon J, that is equal to zero ideal. Zero ideal means J. So from here we can say that I plus J is same as J. And if I plus J is same as J, we can say that I will be contained in J. Now, because J is given to be nilpotent, so by definition of nilpotent, we can say that J raised to the power some positive integer, that will be 0. So let us take J raised to the power m is equal to 0. Now from here, because I is containing J, so I raised to the power m will be contained in J raised to the power m. J raised to the power m is 0. So we get I raised to the power m is equal to 0. So this proves that I is nilpotent. So this completes the proof of this theorem.